Chris, good to see you. You said after the Charlton game last weekend that it'd be good to have a week to prepare for this Sheffield United game. What's that look like for you? Has it been good to have a full week on the training pitch and time for the players to recover?
It has actually, yeah, definitely. It's had a little bit of time, and then we've had good week work really, which we don't often get. So time to work on the training pitch, video analysis, preparing, more for the game because you get more time, which is really, really helpful. So I think we'll benefit from that.
And we're coming into a really busy period, as you know. So once it gets through Saturday and then Derby game, it's quite intense, isn't it, through to January? Yeah,
that's it. Now we're there. Now we're in that Christmas period. So 5 games in however many days, up towards that Coventry game. So very, very important period for all teams, us included, obviously. So we need to maximise it, get as many points as we can.
You said after the QPR game, which was the last defeat away from home, that we needed to maybe impose ourselves a little bit more when we play away from St Andrews and make it look like a Birmingham City team. How do we go about doing that starting this weekend?
Well, we've had a bit more time this week to look into and dig into this away record that we've got this season, which is not something that we want. Obviously, we haven't got enough points for the games we've had. I think we've won a couple, we've drawn a couple, and we've lost 7 of the games. So I think, from my point of view, looking at the games and digging into it a bit more, I do think the first thing to say is that we probably deserve more points than we have got away from home. I think we've been closer in games than maybe it suggests. I think another 3 or 4 points and things would be look a bit different. And I think we've been very close. And I think the reason we haven't got those points from those games is we haven't used or capitalised on the big moments that have presented themselves to us. And I think away from home, what we typically have is do tend to start quickly. We've been getting goals before half time, but I think we're always confident that there'll be moments that present themselves or we create as the game goes on, and always towards the end when we're attacking, especially down towards the tilt, and you can imagine there's another couple of moments we're going to get. And I think there's a feeling that we're going to get these chances, we're going to have these opportunities to capitalise on. Away from home, you're not going to be guaranteed that many or that much. And I think we have to have a bit more of a killer instinct when we are getting opportunities. I think back to a lot of these games where we've conceded in those 7 games. I think the first goal on 6 occasions, I think in the first half, we've had chances before that. We've had moments before that. And I think I call them moments because there's something that we really need to use and make the most of. And I've been talking to the players about that. Be ready for them, and in that moment have that killer instinct, because if you can capitalise on those, then it completely changes the outlook. I don't think we've been a team that's been shocking in many of those games. I think we've had a couple of games we've been below par, most definitely. I think we should all hold our hands up to that. But quite a few of them have been narrow defeats where we've been well in the game right to the very end. So the disparity between the away and the home is big, obviously. We're one of the best at home, right up there, and away from home, we're down there, obviously. So we need to correct it. I haven't wanted to build it up too much, certainly in terms of, creating a pressure and a burden for the players to carry into these games, because I felt that we're still going to be, by the end of the season, in a good position in terms of our away form. And I still believe that, but it's been important time this week to speak about it more, look into it more, because it's not something that we want. Obviously looking at a team like a Newcastle at this moment in time, who are one of the top teams that seem to be suffering more away from home than their home form. So it's a challenge for us, which means it's an opportunity for us to put it right, and no better than a big one at Sheffield United.
You mentioned conceding the first goal, which has been a bit of a problem for us away from home. How crucial is it that we start the game well? Because there's been periods in games where we've probably given ourselves a bit too much to do by conceding that first goal.
Definitely, I'd say, and I think there's the one side of it is to capitalise on the moments that you're getting. Make sure you start strong. We can't shy away from the team that we are and suddenly sit on the edge of our box for 100 minutes. We're not going to be successful that way. So we have to still play. We have to still be brave and do what we do. But there needs to be a resilience there, and I need to have a little bit of all of that footballing nastiness about us, that little bit of an edge. That you need away from home to silence an away crowd and enjoy that challenge and embrace that a little bit more. I think that's what the best players do away from home, the best teams. So there's a lot there for us to improve, clearly, as we're talking about, but all things that I believe we're capable of doing.
It's that sort of game management aspect as well, because if I look back to the Southampton game when we got back in it at 2-1, that's when we still had plenty of time to go on and get something from that game, but there was a sort of crazy 5 or 6 minutes and the game sort of got away from us in that spell.
That's a fair point. I think that was a very open game by nature of design. I think both teams were going toe to toe, and that was very open. And in that situation, we in hindsight, you would say, just keep that at 2-1 for longer. That's clearly the plan, but it doesn't always work like that. So definitely, we have to find that balance. We have to, be proactive, but we have to be solid as well. I think the conceding goals typically hasn't been a huge issue for us, and I think we've conceded a similar amount on the road to a Coventry, but it's the scoring goals, away from home, and we've got to make sure that we, as I say, we capitalise on those moments, which we have had, to be honest, in these games, and we've been talking about that this week.
You said after QPR that was probably one of our poorest away performances of the season. Are you looking for a bit of a reaction on Saturday?
Most definitely. I didn't like the QPR performance. That was one of those, if you could put that in the category of not good enough, that was it. Well below the standards I expect from us. Again, we nearly go and get something from that game, ironically, but that wasn't us. And I expect better than that, and I'm hoping for better than that against Sheffield. Saw
somewhere this week that we've created 50 big chances so far this season, which puts us about 5th in the Championship. With the January transfer window coming up, is that one area that you feel that we can improve on in the second half of the season?
Yeah, most definitely. I think again, carrying on this theme of moments and chances in games, my feeling is we have had that, and you've got to capitalise. I think with January coming up, obviously, said last week, conversations are well underway. We know the areas that we want to improve. We have to improve. We'll do everything we can to give ourselves the best chance. I do feel, we're in the mixer. We've shown we're competitive. We're in there. I think we've got to get as much out of this next 5 games as we can before that window kind of gets going, and then hopefully come out of that stronger and see where we are.
Sheffield United on Saturday, 1 defeat in 7. I think they've won 4 in that period as well under Chris Wilder. So they've picked up most recently in recent weeks as well. So tough test again.
Yeah, definitely. I think we all knew what that team would look like after Chris had been back there for a few weeks. No disrespect to the previous regime, but yeah, and it looks just like that. Very, very organised, competitive, aggressive, pressing team. Some quality in there as well. They were player finalists last year, narrowly missed out on the Premier League. So, yeah, but it's a challenge, but a good one for us. I think it's a type of game that I want and the players want now. If we are going to go away from home and correct this away form, this is the type of game you want.
We played them in the Carabao Cup, obviously, earlier in the season. So I would imagine you're expecting a different type of game to that one. Yeah,
they were 4-3-3. Bit different with this sort of setup and the pressing and stuff, and they're now more of a 4-2-3-1 typically, so 4-4-2. And yeah, a few little details changes. Many of the players are still the same, but they have actually brought a bit of experience in as well. Actually, they were quite young, I remember, but they brought in a bit of experience. So yeah, looking forward to the match. I think it's 2 teams that are very competitive, similar in nature of trying to be aggressive, both teams. So I think it'll be a good game. Hopefully we can come out on top.
Just finally, a bit of team news updates. How's James Beadle in his recovery from ankle injury? And I think Willem might have been close to being involved in the squad last week, but is he any closer now this weekend?
Yeah, Willem's had a good couple of weeks of training. He could have easily been in the squad last week, but chose not to put him in just to give him another week's training. So he's in a great place. And yeah, James is not there yet. He's got. I think it's a matter of weeks. I don't think it's anything long, but we'll see next week.
Thank you.